Hi, and welcome to this presentation with Napatech. My name is Eirik Øresland. I'm an analyst with ABG, and with me today I have the CEO of Napatech, Ray Smets. He will give us a 20 minutes presentation, and then we will round off with some Q&A after that. So with that, I give the word over to you, Ray.
All right, thank you very much, Eric. Very much appreciate the invitation to the ABG conference. I was in Denmark last week and hoping to be in Stockholm this week. Unfortunately, I had to come back to San Francisco to get a little work done here in December, but it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm the CEO of Napatech, and I'd love to walk you through a couple of things. Next slide, please. We're going to talk a little bit about the future, so next slide, please. I'll give you a good sense of Napatech at a glance. Also talk about what excites us about the potential for Napatech, and then also talk a little bit about 2022 and potential opportunities in 2023. To just give you a sense of how Napatech ended 2021, this is the slide that we use for many of our investor presentations to give you a sense of the kind of business we are, the kind of performance that we've historically provided. Even though 2021 wasn't a typical year for Napatech either, we've all been working through many different challenges within this marketplace, as you guys already know. Where the only thing consistent are the inconsistencies of this marketplace. We're a business that aspires for a really strong performance, and we've had a very good reputation building that relationship with our shareholders, that we do what we say and we say what we do. Our goal is to go long. Our goal is to build a business that has long-term growth and potential within a very interesting marketplace, which I'll talk about in just a bit, using a very interesting technology that has an extremely important part of the overall data center marketplace. I hope you get the sense for that as we go into the business. We're not a large business. We have about 100 people across the world, most of which are based in Copenhagen, Denmark. We have an expertise that is rare in this industry, building a very interesting solution that has a hardware component within a software component within a hardware shell, which is a real interesting product to help accelerate applications in data centers. It's a little technology oriented, but I'll try to keep it very simple. But this slide gives you a sense of how we performed in 2021, and we'll talk a little bit about 2022 and beyond. Next slide, please. Little Napatech does business with a lot of very interesting customers. We have over 200 global customers within our portfolio, and we have a mixture of customers between what we call OEM, or companies that embed our product within their product and take those products to the marketplace. And we have other customers that we sell directly to, which we call end user customers, and we have a good mix of the portfolio together. The OEM customers, which are on the left of the slide, are a number of different technology customers that take our product and embed it within theirs, take it to the market and sell it to their own end user customers. And we provide a benefit to that customer by enhancing the solution that they sell. They sell solutions across network management, security, and a variety of other networking-oriented solutions where we make their product better. Those kinds of customers are the A-plus kind of customers for a company like Napatech. You can see the names on the left-hand side of this slide. When we build a relationship with those kind of customers, the relationship lasts for a very long time, typically 5 to 7 years, and sometimes longer than that. We have a few that don't like to be shown on slides that are rather interesting. And so we have a relatively good recurring relationship with customers like this. So we have some predictability in our typical pipeline, not in the recent days, but in the typical pipeline environment. The customers on the right-hand side of this slide typically buy our solution when they're deploying a software product or a software solution within their data centers, and they use our SmartNIC solution to accelerate those applications. They typically will buy for 2 or 3 or 4 quarters at a time until their projects are completed, and then they may come back for a year or two later and do a refresh. Those customers continue to buy from us over time, and as we build the customer base, we strive to create an excellent relationship with those customers. And you can see there's some really impressive brands that we sell directly to on the right-hand side of the slide. We do work very closely with a number of different partners also to get access to the marketplace. I'll spend a lot more time on that as we get further into the presentation. Next slide, please. So just to keep it really simple, Napatech has emerged in building what is known as a high-performance programmable SmartNIC. This is the techie part of the presentation, and I'll try to keep it super simple. Those little devices on the bottom of the of the slide are like the one I'm holding in my hand. It gives you a sense of the size and the shape of this product. This is called a NIC, a network interface connection. It's typically designed to fit within a data. It's always designed to fit within a data center server. Servers have slots. Servers are very, very basic in nature. They have a general purpose computer that runs to keep networks flowing. And the smart NIC is designed with the software that we build on it to take the information flowing through the server and accelerate it or do something very important to it to enhance the application that is running in the data center. Every server that's deployed has about anywhere between 2 and 8 slots where these things can fit into them. And depending on the use case, these get deployed within servers and data centers for a variety of different opportunities within cybersecurity, monitoring, infrastructure, and the growing and very, very interesting area of 5G mobile networking, which we're focused on as a growth area for the business. The real, even though these are designed by some of the best hardware engineers in Denmark, the real secret to our success is the software that runs on it. There's something on here called an FPGA, which is a supercompute little semiconductor device that provides super high performance. And there aren't too many companies in the world that know how to build software that runs on it. And Napatech is unique in that regard. We're the #1 provider of FPGA-based smart NICs globally. And you'll see in just a few moments how we stack up against the other guys in the industry. Next slide, please. So I like to talk about Napatech being in a very, very compelling place. And I'll talk about all of these quadrants just a little bit as we go through the presentation. So Napatech sits at kind of the crossroads of a very, very large, fast-growing, emerging marketplace that is tracked by reputable industry analysts looking after the smart NIC market. And it's by 2026, they expect this marketplace that we sell into to be about $3.8 billion, and it's growing fast. I'll show you that a little bit more of that in just a bit. We're also increasing our investments in building more types of smart NICs. There's an evolution that's occurring within the smart NIC world, led by Intel and by NVIDIA and AMD, where the FPGA is enhanced with a CPU, and that's called an IPU or a DPU. And those types of performing NICs are intended to offload the entire network stack of the emerging 5G mobile marketplace. So another super opportunity for a company like Napatech to jump in, and we are jumping for it. We are going for it. In order to get access to the market, a small company like Napatech can never hire enough salespeople to really be effective globally. So we have embarked on a strategy, and a very good strategy, which I'll touch on just a bit also, of building partnerships to get access to the large and growing marketplace. And you can see the kind of companies that we're doing business with here on this slide that are getting us access to this growing marketplace. And we're winning new design wins. In our space, winning a design win is winning kind of a tender, if you will, that provides multiple years of revenue. So the opportunity for us as a company is to win as many design wins as possible, because we have to get built into architectures. Those architectures are being built maybe a year in advance before they actually buy the product. A design win is getting built into an architecture, into a deployment, and then we get purchase orders anywhere between 12 to 18 months and beyond after that. And typically that's how you see our predictability go from a growth perspective. So Napatech sits in the middle of what we believe are some extremely interesting opportunities for growth. Of course, we're dealing with a situation in this marketplace that's a little bit challenging. We'll come back to that in just a bit. Let's talk a little bit more about the market. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, NICs are driven by server expansion. If you have been tracking the industry and you know a little bit about the global tier 1 cloud providers and pretty much everybody else in the industry, everything is going into the data center. It's the cloudification of everything. Whatever used to be done on special purpose hardware that was deployed in networking is no longer happening on special purpose hardware. It's all basically applications running in a data center on top of a server. And those applications can be very, very CPU intensive. What we provide with the smart NIC is we provide the ability for those servers to work better for a variety of different use cases within that marketplace. So the smart NIC market follows the server market. And the next slide, please, gives you a sense of what that market looks like. On the left-hand side of the slide, I use this in my Q3 IMS that I just delivered last week. On the left-hand side of the slide is what the market looks like according to Omdia. From a server expansion perspective, these are extremely big numbers, and they're growing at about 5% CAGR. There was a period about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago when the server market was actually in a relatively flat or declining state. We haven't seen that to be the case. Everything is going into the data center, and it's all about servers. The real challenge for this marketplace is getting the servers and getting the resources to deploy those servers. But that's a different story for a different day. Global supply chain has been in a bit of disrepair. But the analysts are saying that the server market's going to grow and it's going to be healthy for years to come. That's good news for us, because on the right-hand side of this slide is the Ethernet adapter market. And that's also known as the NIC market. And like I said, the smart NIC is a version of a NIC. So the total bar is the entire NIC market. And the pink bar that you see here is the smart NIC market. That's the market that we're focused on. We don't focus on the purple or the blue. We focus on the pink. And you can see that it's the smallest. Was the smallest part of the market, but it will be the largest market within the NIC market over the next couple of years. Hyper growth in this space because the smart NIC is now the center of the universe when it comes to data center design. There's a big portion of this market that is going to customers, or is being measured by customers or solutions providers, I should say, that don't buy from companies like Napatech, but a big portion of this market is. What you see on the right-hand side of the slide at the end of year 2021, our market share in the vendor category of that pink bar was about 7%. And you can see the other kind of companies that are on that list. Marvell, extremely large semiconductor company, Xilinx, Intel, Broadcom, all of those guys obviously are at the top of the list. But we also eclipse others who also are rather well-known in this industry. And there's about 40 others on this list. So Napatech is a top 10 provider in the NIC market, and we are a top 5 provider in the vendor portion of the smart NIC market. So there's a real opportunity here if Napatech can position itself well within this marketplace. So next slide, please. We like to kind of also talk about the fact that this is a lucrative market. And in this lucrative market, you're going to see many different solutions. What you see here is kind of a myriad of technologies. It's a little techie driven, but the FPGA is what we bank on in terms of the supercomputer chip that we use. And it provides the highest performance and the highest programmability of all of the other kinds of solutions in the marketplace. And you can see other companies kind of gravitate to different kinds of technology choices. Napatech is a leader in the FPGA space, and we sit at the upper end of the spectrum from a performance and from a programmability perspective. Our customers buy our product not because they love our hardware, it's because they love our software. They can plug it into a data center server, they can run their applications on it, and they have an immediate benefit. The benefit that we provide to these customers is when you build data centers, you want to build them as small as possible, with the smallest possible footprint, the fewest number of servers, the lowest energy consumption, and the lowest heat emission within the data center. Of course, that's important. The SmartNIC allows customers to build those data centers, improving all of those vectors, improving the size, the performance, and the TCO of a data center. That's why they buy our product. So we fit within the financial business model of anybody building data centers today. Next slide, please. So the next slide, I'm going to browse through this. I wanted to provide this. This was all in our Q3 IMS, and it's a really good report. If you wish to listen to it, the webcast is available on the Napatech website. But it's a little bit of a preview of kind of shape of things to come. We didn't have a great year. 2022 is not going to be a great year for Napatech. We kick ourselves pretty hard, and we take a lot of beatings internally for this. But we're dealing with a very, very challenging marketplace where many of the types of customers that buy from us, we haven't lost any customers, best products ever. We have the ability to ship to these customers as much as they want. But we're seeing just a temporary slowdown in the marketplace, and the industry analysts are reporting that, especially in the enterprise domain. But in order to really succeed in this marketplace, we have to go long, we have to go big, and we can't build for every quarter coming. We have to build for the years coming ahead of us. So we're focused on growth in the coming years. And 2022 is going to go down in the history book as a very unusual and unique year for many companies like Napatech. It just is what it is. And we're very transparent about that. But we've been building relationships with companies like Lenovo. And there's a little bit more detail about Lenovo on the slide deck, which I'll let you guys look at. We have an OEM relationship with Lenovo. They're a tier 3, tier 4, one of the largest server providers with a big focus on Asia Pac. They have our solution. It's branded as Lenovo. We're building it for Lenovo, and they're taking their solution to the data center marketplace for service providers with the hope of selling our solution to the service provider marketplace to accelerate 5G applications. 5G in general has been extremely important to us, and we've been building a coalition of partnerships to get our SmartNIC solution into the 5G domain. There's a couple of different very technical areas where we can accelerate the packet core of the 5G mobile network, which is the next major investment in mobile networking. It's called virtual UPF, user plane function. And we've been building a solution that has best-in-class performance working in the 5G marketplace. We've been building partnerships with the big semiconductor companies that we know best. AMD recently acquired Xilinx. Xilinx is a world leader in building FPGA solutions. And we've just recently announced a partnership, a co-marketing and selling partnership with AMD to take our product to market and help us build pipeline selling the SmartNICs that have their FPGAs based on it, the Xilinx FPGAs. That just got off the ground. We just announced that in September, and we're building pipeline. Our goal is to build about a $75 million pipeline with AMD over the next 3 to 6 months, which are going to be targets that they want to go after and bring our solutions to their customers. Intel is a very, very interesting partnership that continues to evolve. They have many more needs than AMD from a design perspective. We're a design partner building their newest and greatest new type of SmartNIC. And we're very excited about the potential that Intel brings us, because they don't only bring us solutions or access to the marketplace, but they also bring us designs that they would like us to help them build. For example, the very last thing on here is this new design win we announced also about 3 months ago with a top tier security and networking company who does not want to be named yet, but we will name them soon, where we're building an Intel-based SmartNIC to their specifications to accelerate a very important application that already has a lot of customers in their marketplace. We expect that business will begin to impact our revenue stream next year. They'll probably buy about 1,000 units. We're selling these things for about $4,000 per unit to this particular marketplace. I didn't talk about the price range here, but these can be sold anywhere from about $3,000 to $10,000 per unit. So there's a lot of margin associated with this. And then when they go to full scale, that's worth probably about a $10 million a year revenue stream to us. So we've been designed into their solution, and we're working to fulfill it now. So we think 2023 is going to be a liftoff year for us. And we have just the same crystal ball everybody else in this room has about what next year might look like. We're looking at pipeline, we're looking at customers, we're asking for forecasts, we're studying the COGS associated with the hardware portion of our component to know what our margins will look like. And we're very hopeful that even if the market is the same next year as it was this year, which was pretty tough, that we already have revenue growth baked in to 2023 if everything remains the same. We're hoping actually the market will recover a little bit. These customers that aren't buying as much this year as they normally would, or they're deferring their projects to the right, they have to buy the SmartNIC eventually. So we're hoping for a positive rebound effect, although that's a hope and a wish and a prayer at this point because we don't really know. But we do have a pretty good sense of what the foundation of our business looks like, the fact that we're not losing any customers in this strange market environment, and we're really hopeful and confident that there's a growth potential beyond that. Next slide, please. I'm just going to go ahead and just point. This is a little more information about the Lenovo relationship. Next slide, please. The next slide here talks about our impact in the 5G UPF space. I'll let you take a look at that. We have some very good content on our website about it. Next slide, please. This is a little bit of information about the relationship we have with AMD regarding the co-marketing and sales relationship agreement that I just talked about. The next slide, please. This is about the new design for the new version of the Intel IPU and the work that we're doing with Intel, where they're publicizing the relationship with Napatech to their own customer base, which is really important to us. And the next slide, please. A little more information here about the new design win that we expect to develop a significant new revenue stream for us, and they will move to the top of the heap as our largest customer in the portfolio of customers that we have. So we're very confident that we're building what we believe is a base of business that will grow in the future, despite the sputtering economy and marketplace that we have today and of the recent 6 quarters. Next slide, please. There's just a few more things I'll point out before we go to Q&A. There was a really interesting article that was published in Light Reading by a fellow named Ian Morris, and the title kind of says it all. Tiny Napatech starts FPGA assault on NVIDIA and 5G core. Long story short, in this article, it's a very clever small article that talks about what it is that Napatech does and how we're trying to beat the big guys in the industry and how we're trying to grow our business in the 5G core. It's worth a read if you're interested in Napatech, and I hope you are. Please take a look at this article, and I think you'll get a little something out of it. Next slide, please. The last thing I'll say is that we have started a process. We announced this about 4 months ago, that we were looking into how to extract as much value from Napatech to the benefit of our shareholders. And it could be a spectrum of opportunities, anywhere from very deep strategic relationships where we go deep and heavy with a particular strategic partner to get access to their marketplace, to the possibility of maybe cash upfront relationship, maybe a co-investment or some sort of investment model, or even an equity investment, or even M&A. There's a range of possibilities here. The board wanted us to announce to the marketplace that we were working on unlocking that value to the benefit of our shareholders, and we're still working on it. So this is just an update I put into the Q3 IMS last week, just to say that we're still working on it. Our hope is that we'll be able to announce something soon in this space, and we're very excited about where this may lead us. So more to come on this, and I'll leave that to you guys to consume. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to finish up with, we did update our annual guidance for 2022. I would just encourage you, since we don't have so much time in this call to talk about it, I would encourage you to listen to our earnings results and our IMS presentation. Our goal is to be transparent, open, and honest with our market and our customers and our shareholders, and I think you'll get a big dose of that. We did have to update our 2022 guidance, and just like most companies, we've had to take our guidance down for current fiscal year. But we're very hopeful that 2023 will be a significant growth year for us, and that's our plan. Next slide, please. So I'll leave this as the backdrop, and I'll ask Eric to come on back and see if there's any questions. But I hope we've given you at least a little touch of Napatech, and please take a look at the investor relations materials that we have posted, and we're very happy to engage shareholders and talk further if there's any interest to talk further. So thank you for that. So Eric?
Thank you for the presentation, Ray. We have some questions as well. And starting with your financials, there seems to be some headwinds this year. So you also commented on this in the presentation, but can you try to explain the key factors that are currently affecting revenue growth negatively, and when you expect these factors to start to point in the right direction?
Yeah, it really has been a real hassle for us in 2022. We consider this company a highly leverageable growth business. So we built a relatively low-cost business that has the potential to grow rapidly on the revenue side. Highly leverageable, meaning there's a lot of profit and a lot of cash to be generated from a business like ours, because once we sell to very large consumers. So our goal to build revenue is to build more customers that design us into their solution, and we continue to do that. What we've run into in 2022 is the headwind where customers are a little bit concerned about the potential for recession. They've been dealing with the foreign exchange challenge. They've also been dealing with geopolitical uncertainties that have impacted their customer and their buying base. So we've seen OEM customers that typically forecast very effectively move their forecast out quarter over quarter into what's looking like 2023. And we've also seen an erosion of enterprise-based customer buyers who tend to be very margin rich. So we definitely have had some issues getting stability in terms of buying behavior, but the customers that are buying just the same. They're just buying less. At the same time, we've seen an increase in COGS, meaning the cost of our actual hardware product has gone up because of an inflationary impact to the actual cost of our hardware. We've got that under control. We'll probably take a decision to raise our prices next year. Customers are expecting it. But those two factors, reduced revenue, increased COGS, have created a really challenging environment for a company like Napatech. But we're executing long. We're executing into 2023, and we're really hoping for a recovery in this marketplace sometime soon.
Yeah, and you also touched upon 2023, and you announced a record large order in Q2 that should lead to a significant rebound in growth next year. So could you give us some insight into how you won this contract, and could we expect to see more orders around this size going forward as well?
Yeah, sure. This is a great example, design win. I'm glad you asked that question of why these partnerships that we're building are so important to us. This customer happens to be a customer that was very appealing to Intel. So Intel brought us the opportunity. And when this customer asked Intel, hey, do you guys know anybody who builds great smart NICs? Intel said, yes, as a matter of fact, we do. Napatech. They offered the customer over to Napatech for us to evaluate whether we could meet their needs. We can. They had some specific requirements to be built into the hardware that we're building into the hardware as we speak. And they intend to begin consuming it next year. But it was through a relationship with Intel. And basically, we had to confirm for this very large buying customer, it's multi-billion-dollar customer in this marketplace, that we could do what they needed us to do. And they committed to us to move forward. The benefit to Intel is that every time we ship a solution to this new customer, an Intel FPGA goes with it. So it's a pari-mutuel relationship, symbiotic relationship, if you will, with Intel that we like to exploit. And that's the first of others, because we have others in the pipeline that we're working on just like that.
Seems like 2023 could be really interesting for Napatech. So I see that we are running out of time. So thank you for taking the time to present to us, Ray, and to those who listened in, thank you to you as well.
Thank you very much, Eric, and thanks to everybody listening in. I hope this was useful, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.